And it's ridiculous, honestly. It's ridiculous. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about something that's been on my heart for quite a bit of time, but I never really got a chance to talk about it. And I feel like now is the most opportune time. And it's the fact that women in ministry do not get the same amount of love as men in ministry. Do you guys agree with that? This is what I mean. A woman that is zealous in ministry does not get the same love, attention, devotion to pursuing ministry that a zealous young man would get. If you see a zealous young man in church and he is the type of guy that's, at all the prayer meetings and he serves on every team, and you can just tell that he's serious about the things of God. When somebody's called to ministry, you could always tell. If there is a young man that exhibits those qualities, he will be picked up quickly by one of the associate pastors, by maybe the pastor himself. He will be mentored by someone. He will be polished. He will be trained. He will be developed to work, exercise, practice his gifts so that he could be effective in ministry. They'll snatch him up and let him know that he's off limits and that he should not be talking to no girls because he's called to ministry and he needs to consecrate himself and everything that comes with being called to ministry. But if you have a zealous young woman that exhibits the same qualities, she has to figure out and navigate the terrains of ministry by herself. Nobody is picking her up and teaching her the do's and don'ts. Nobody's training her. Nobody's taking her to practice preaching or speaking. Nobody's taking her on no ministry trips. Nobody is putting that same attention, affection, and time into training her for ministry. She just got to figure it out herself. But for the men, they get all the attention and whatnot. And it's ridiculous, honestly. It's ridiculous. It sucks. It's ridiculous. It's annoying, and you are left to figure out things by yourself, endure things that you probably wouldn't have to endure, get taken advantage of when you wouldn't need to, just because you don't have someone discipling you into becoming the person that you're meant to be. And I just feel like it's so unfair. Like, if we are saying that women are called to ministry, if we are saying that we agree that women are called to ministry and women can operate in these various capacities, then let's show that. Like, don't be out here saying, yes, a woman can do this, a woman could do that, a woman can preach, a woman could teach, a woman could do all of these things, but then not put any effort or resources into women, because then it's just something to say. Like in the Pentecostal church, the charismatic movement, we like to say, yes, women can, women can, women can, but then like when it's time for women to do, there's no women. The only time that we see women doing anything is that annual women's conference, and those conferences are not even places for women of God to develop who they are or to improve in themselves or to learn about what it even means to be a woman of God. It's where we're supposed to learn how to be a wife. Like, if we're meant to be in ministry, keep the energy and show us that we're meant to be there. Otherwise, it's so annoying. I was telling someone the other day that, like, literally for the last 7 years of my walk, all I have been looking for is a woman that I could look up to, that could be a mentor to me, that could help me, that would put the same effort and energy that I see my male counterparts in ministry being given. I've been looking for someone to be a Timothy to. I could watch, I could learn from, that they could correct me because I don't know everything. They could tell me when I'm making a mistake. They could cheer me on because it's difficult to pursue ministry. Just someone to be a Timothy to, like the Bible commands. But I have not been able to find that because on one hand, there's the women in ministry who they're just mean. Is it mean? Is it jealous? Is it insecure? I don't know what it is. But there's the women in ministry who don't want to put no one on, who don't want to help and not put anyone. They're the women in ministry who don't want to help anyone. Like, they just don't want to do anything. Women in ministry usually have this reputation for being catty and jealous and arguing with each other, like, and it's kind of true. Like, if you go on social media, you can see a lot of the men in ministry. I saw a nice picture of like Israel Houghton and a couple people, and they were all together, like just pushing each other and encouraging each other, and they're all in the same field. But you don't see, like, I can't even name a couple, a trio, or a group of 4 of women in ministry that are all in the same field, all doing the same thing, that push and support each other the way that the men do in ministry. Women in ministry are usually to themselves, don't really talk to anybody, don't really support everybody, kind of just mind their own business. You can't look up to like a group of 4 or 3 or even 2 women and say, yes, these people are friends and they are in the same field and they support each other, no competition, just vibes. And so there are those women in ministry who I've tried to like get close to, and not even just to like use or anything, but like to actually have people, because ministry is hard, first of all, to like actually get close to them, to like build a relationship, to learn from each other, grow from each other, iron sharpen iron, and they just weren't having that. And then there's the women on the other side who are kind of just like, I can't help you because I'm a pastor's wife. Like, I don't know why you're doing all of this stuff. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, dang, like, and this is something that I've been looking for literally 7 years. And I've tried to find this. I've gone and reached out to like my first lady in the church and been like, listen, this is what, you know, God is speaking to me about, like, and you hear whenever prophets come and say like to me that, and you hear whenever prophets come and say to me like, you're called to ministry, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do that. And it's just like, I just need someone that I could be like under their wing, that they can like work on my character, that they can like train me, that they could correct me because I got a little attitude problem, and like been literally told flat out like, I can't help you. And it's just like, dang. Like, I understand that everybody want to be the first lady, but like, anybody just want to be the minister themselves? Is there anybody? And it's just, it's been a mess, and I've learned a lot on my journey to where I am so far. I'm still learning, but because I haven't been able to find it, I've decided that I'm gonna be it. So I will be taking the month of June off, completely off all socials, completely off all ministry work. I'm putting a pause to everything. No socials, no Sassy and Save, no mentorship, no nothing. June is like my ghost month. It's just me and God re-strategizing and realigning with the different things that He's given me for this season. He's been speaking so much to me about this that I'm talking about, and how it's such a burden for me because it's something that I've been called to change. And so part of my assignment is creating that space for women of ministry, and I'm so excited to jump into that area and start doing things with Sassy and Saved and really equipping women of God to be women of God. I saw a tweet a couple weeks ago that said like churches focus more on making women godly wives than women of God, but our first call is to be women of God. And I felt that in my core, because every women's conference will be about how to find the one, and how to be the woman, and how to do this, and how to cook, and how to, all these different things that are like, okay, great, but like, how to be a woman of God first, how to be the woman that God called you to be first, how to do what God called you to do first. Why don't we have conferences and talks about how to be a prayer warrior, like how to stand and be a lioness in the spirit? Okay, like there's so many places, and this is the thing that I think like pisses me off the most about when we get our priorities messed up in church. There's so many places to figure out how to cook. You could actually go on YouTube and type in how to cook any dish, and there will be a recipe. Any dish in the world, there will be a recipe. There will actually be a recipe. If it's business, making money, doing all those things, you can go to any business conference. You can go to chapters and pick up a book on how to start a business, how to be a CEO, CEO, woman. Like, there are resources for being domestic. There are resources for being a businesswoman. There are resources for financial. There are resources for all of those areas in life. But where there's not resources is how to be kingdom. And the church is responsible for providing those resources. So when we as a church switch our focus from providing those resources of how to be a biblical woman, how to be a biblical man, how to do things the Bible way, and focus on the business and the finance and the domestic and the marriage and everything else that the world already offers, we are doing ourselves a disservice, because it's easy for us to get that information and it's easy for the world to get that information everywhere. The thing that makes us different, our only difference, is the fact that we base our principles, our standards, and everything we do on the word. So when we focus on everything else but the word, we lose our difference. And so it frustrates me so much when churches, when Christian influencers, when Christians focus on drawing the world or teaching things about the world or trying to make us well-rounded believers by focusing on everything else but the word. The foundation is the word, and then we build everything else. We cannot focus on everything else and put a little sprinkle of the word. That's not how it's supposed to be. And so I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? See what happens when you talk too much? I lost my train of thought, but pretty much what I'm trying to say is we need to be able to, we need to be able to understand what it means to be a biblical woman, what it means to be a woman of God. Everybody knows what it means to be a Proverbs 31 woman. Everybody knows what Ruth did to get Boaz. But what people don't know is what made Esther be chosen by the king. What people don't know is what made Deborah a woman fit enough to run a whole country in a time when women were basically disrespected. What people don't know is why Rahab, who was literally a prostitute, God will pick her up, clean her up, and she will be in the lineage of Jesus. These are the type of things we need to be teaching. These are the type of things we need to be focusing on. These are the type of things we need to know so that we can fulfill our first assignment, which is to be women of God and daughters of the King, before we even focus on our other assignments, which include marriage. And we're just not doing that. And so that is what I'm about to be about for the rest of my life. Like, for the rest of my life, I will make sure that I equip and encourage women of God to be women of God. Before they focus on being wives, before they focus on being mothers, they focus on being women of God. And it makes so much sense because the vision of Sassy and Safe has always been a community to encourage and equip women of God to live in accordance with biblical womanhood. And I mean, that was the vision that God gave me, and I didn't really have or see the full picture of what that meant. Now that I look back, I kind of have always been on brand for the vision, which is only by the grace of God. But now that I see the full picture, I feel like I could just run with it. And no wonder the Bible would say, make the vision plain, write it down so the people can run with it. And I feel like that's the season I'm about to enter into, a season of just running with the vision, which I'm really, really excited about. And so this month of ghosting, where I'm seeking God, I'm going to him with my ideas and hearing his voice and just seeing what he would have with how we move forward with the ministry. Honestly, guys, I've been through so much on this journey of ministry, things that you would not even believe. So many things that I just didn't bother sharing because I didn't think it was important. But these are things that I can definitely share in the mentorship program and in different capacities without outing, slandering, or talking bad about anyone, just to let other women that are coming up in ministry know things to look for and things to avoid. So I'm really excited to be able to do that and to just give my contribution to the world in that way. I was telling my mentees the other day, actually at our event, that I am going into the next phase of my life, the next season of my life, with no regrets. And I'm so happy about that. What I meant by that was, like, I'm now transitioning into marriage. I'm about to leave my mama's house and transition into marriage. And I could do so when I look at the course of my single season, the season of being alone and not being married, even though I dated people, obviously, the season when I look back at my single season, the season of being alone and not being married, even though I dated people obviously, but a season of not being married, I can look back and say that I emptied myself in this season. Like, I did everything I wanted to do and more in my season of singleness. And so I can freely transition to the next season of my life with no regrets. I have no regrets feeling like I should have done this, I should have done that. I can truly say I emptied myself of everything. I hit all of my goals, and I went even beyond what I had planned for myself by the grace of God. In this single season, I've been able to accomplish so much. I've been able to finish school, start a ministry, be in full-time ministry and employed by a church, and a bunch of other stuff. I've been able to do a lot of things, and a lot of the goals that I had for myself to accomplish in my singleness, I've been able to do, and again, even more. And I want every woman to be able to say that. I want us to be able to say that we did not waste our single season, but we lived it to the fullest with joy and with contentment. And that is why I'm going so hard and pushing so much for us to understand first that we are called to be daughters of the King, and we are called to be women of God before we're called to be any man's wife. And I'm so happy that I can say that I'm going into this next season with no regrets, because knowing me, if I did not accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish, when I get to that next season, I would be looking back like, if I was single, I would be able to do this. If I didn't have children, I would be able to do this. And I don't want to look at my husband and future children with resentment or regrets because I feel like they're holding me back from doing what God called me to do. I am so happy that I'm able to go into that next season being fully present, being ready to learn and embrace that season, because I know that the old one is done and passed away. And I feel like that is an important thing. I was reading some statistics the other day about divorce and marriage, and some of the men and even some of the women were saying how the reason why they cheat and the reason why they're getting a divorce is because they realized they were not ready for marriage. Like, there were things that they still needed to do before they made the step, and they felt like they took the step too early. And so the people that are already in that stage are saying that, you actually be regretting if you don't do what you need to do. And so I'm so happy that I'm able to say that I have done everything that I need to do, and I could go into that next phase with no regrets. And I want that for all of us. And that came to me only by the grace of God, and but also by understanding that I've been called and put on this earth to fulfill a purpose. And the purpose is not enclosed in marriage or enclosed in the person that I'm going to marry or the mother that I'm going to be, but the purpose is enclosed in me. And so I can start even now. And I want that for all of us, because a lot of us, we don't know that. We don't hear that. We're told that we need to get married, and then there's so many times that I talk to young girls and they say, when I get married, I'm going to do this. When I get married, I'm going to do this. When I get married, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, why when you get married? Why not now? One of my mentors always says, you will never have as much time as you have now, so make sure you make the most of it. And by that she means, if she had known before she got married what she knows now, she would have done twice as much stuff. Because once you get married, you have somebody to answer to, someone to consider before you do anything. You cannot just get up and be talking all type of smack on the internet like I do. You now have to understand that you represent someone, and so you might need to be quiet sometimes because it's not just gonna look bad on you, it's gonna look bad on them. Also, you cannot just get up and give yourself to the internet and be able to open up your life the same way I do now, because that's somebody else that you have to consider. Once you have kids, you don't got no time. Like, when you don't have no time, you cannot even go to the bathroom in peace, let alone be doing half the things that you're doing now. So this is the season, this is the time for us to sow seed and lay foundation for everything we want to harvest and enjoy in our marriage and in our motherhood. And I pray that women will begin to see this season as such, that singleness is not a curse, it's not a delay, it is a time for planting, for sowing seed that you will harvest in years to come. And so I can see the vision, and it's gonna be beautiful. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I will see you in July. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Follow Sassy and Saved on Instagram at sassyandSaved.co. Follow me at Aquia Teresa. Check out the podcast, which is about to get a rebrand too. Everything's about to be lit. Thank you for all your support. See you in July, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to do a lot. We're going to be a lot, and we're going to be everything that God called us to be. We're going to do so with style and substance, and we're going to do so with men of God by our side. We're all going to be able to say that we have left this season of singleness with no regrets, because we used it as a time to plant, and you just wait till we move and transition into the future seasons of our lives, because we're going to harvest everything that we have planted. Until next time, Sassy and Saved, baby.